Buckle up. We're up. We're going to be having a bumpy show today. Welcome to the Superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today, in my nice, smooth basement, I'll be talking about turbulence and flying. Ooh, yep, that's right. It's kind of been in the news a little bit these days. There's been a few incidents and accidents involving turbulence with bigger jets. It's kind of timely, and I couldn't think of any other topic. So it's like, what the heck? We'll talk about turbulence. Is there more of it today? Maybe yes, maybe no. They say yes. I say probably not. But, anyways, what we do as pilots here, I'm a flight instructor myself, and it's one of those things that there's so much information out there that you have to be able to find resources to answer the questions you might have as a pilot. A lot of this stuff I knew for a test years ago, and you just forget. That's the little thing about pilots. Yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So I was trying to think about all this turbulence stuff, and it's like I studied like crazy for my ATPL exams for that, and I knew all about all the different turbulences. And then I don't fly any airliners, so it's like, oh well, let's go back. So when in doubt, every pilot probably still has a copy of From the Ground Up. Lots of people have that lying around, and it's just a book that you don't want to throw out. Like there's some really old copies that people still have when they learned how to fly in the 70s or something. It's like, oh yeah, I still got mine. And what's really cool is like if you look at one of the first if you look at one of the first editions of From the Ground Up, it's really funny because it's always what are the introduction here. They've changed the introduction over the years, but the old introduction was really funny in this book because it was oh, here we go. So you want to be a pilot, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of this. I never did read the new one, but I saw an old one. It's like, men must be brave to fly aircraft and stuff. And it was really funny, but I think they updated it since then. But it's got like a little bit of everything in there. And so I was thinking, what about clear air turbulence? That sounds to me like these jets, they hit clear air turbulence. Because when you're up at the 30,000 feet, maybe higher, in a jet, like the weather on the ground really doesn't make it up there. I could see if you're flying over the Himalayas or something like that, very high mountain ranges. Yeah, sometimes you can get turbulence off of mountains. What happens? I'll be drawing quite a bit here with my whiteboard, a little bit just to explain. Yeah, so you can get these things called mountain waves. And I don't think that really had too much to do with the recent incidents and accidents that happened. But so you got a mountain, as usual on the whiteboard, a fantastic mountain. And you got a wind blowing this way. Where's that wind going to go? It takes a turn and goes up here. Look at that. And then it kind of curls around, maybe. So depending on the speed of your wind, if it's really strong, it can go up here and maybe if you're an airplane flying along, here's my jet. I still can't really draw a jet. There's a jet right there. So flying along, boom, you got a great big updraft. Or if you catch it down here, it could be a downdraft. How do I draw a jet? I don't know, something like that. There you go. That guy could be getting a bit of a downdraft. This guy could be getting an updraft. And that makes you bounce around. There's some turbulence from a mountain wave. But that really, it doesn't go up that high, up to 30,000 feet. Like I say, unless you're going over the Himalayas or something really. But then even then, it's still kind of bouncy. They're all jagged, so it wouldn't necessarily get that. But, oh, hey, Shecky, welcome. So we're going to be talking about clear air turbulence, and I will be ripping off. Well, actually, I'll read about it before I describe it. So, so clear air turbulence from the book, and this is like, you don't really encounter that too much if you're flying the little airplanes that I usually fly. But the jets, yeah, they're always dealing with it, and it usually has to do with if you're around the jet stream. That's kind of a weird thing. It doesn't say in the book that it's weird, but I will read to you from the book. Can you tell I didn't have a topic today? So I'm going to read from a book to you, children. So here we go. Clear air turbulence is closely associated with the jet stream is clear air turbulence, a bumpy, turbulent condition that occurs in cloudless sky and can be severe enough to be a hazard to modern high-performance airplanes. It occurs at high altitudes, usually above 15,000 feet. That's where these big jets were going, and is more severe near 30,000 feet. That's where all your big jets fly. Clear air turbulence develops in the turbulent energy exchange along the boundary between contrasting cold and warm air masses. Such cold and warm advection, along with strong wind shear, develops near the jet stream, especially where the curvature of the jet stream increases sharply. Okay, now there's a cool thing in here that I saw. Here we go. One more little bit, then I'll get to my excellent artwork. Here we go. So the most probable place to expect clear air turbulence is just above the central core of the jet stream near the polar tropopause. You won't be tested on that. Don't worry about it. Tropopause is just kind of like where it's kind of like where most of our atmosphere is below this layer they call the tropopause. And just below the core. Clear air turbulence does not occur in the core of the jet stream. Clear air turbulence is encountered more frequently in winter when the jet streams are the strongest. Nevertheless, clear air turbulence is not always present in the jet stream, and because it is random and transient in nature, it is almost impossible to forecast. There we go. So you can't really, according to the book, you can't really forecast this stuff. It's either going to be there or not. And that's where we rely on pilot reports or PIREPs, where if there's a jet, there's some guy there, you're flying around, and all of a sudden you encounter a bunch of turbulence. They'll be getting on the radio and say, hey, we just encountered clear air turbulence. It could be moderate, could be severe, could be light. But and there's ways of describing that. So which is which? Severe makes it like, wow, that's severe. Light's like, this is kind of bumpy. And yeah, so you'll report that. The other airplanes flying around will get the report and go, oh, where was that? And you'll say the location. Probably, depending on where you are. It could be, I won't get too technical with it, but you'll say your location that the other pilots will say, okay, I'm going to stay away from there. Or a lot of times they'll be talking to each other. Hey, how's the ride over there? Hey, how's the ride there for this? Okay, we're getting a little bumpy. Oh, we're smooth here. Okay, we'll request another altitude. So that's stuff like that. So I will show you what it's kind of like. If you look at the jet stream that's on the, you always see in North America, the jet stream, it kind of goes across from west to east. It can dip down in the I don't know, different times of the year. Winter, I think it dips down pretty good. But yeah, so, and across the Atlantic, there's always a jet stream there. But if you do a cross section of it, let's see, I'll rip it off from here. And this is, I drew this diagram, I don't know how many times when I was studying for my ATPL exams, and I just forgot all about it. So here we go. And we're going to make some really cool stuff here, boy. Look at that. And okay, this is some more fantastic artwork with the jet stream. So this is like if you took the jet stream you see going across your screen on the news report, chop it in half, and that's what it's going to look like. So the jet stream is this. It's actually kind of like an oval shape. It's not exactly a circle. It's kind of like an oval shape, just the way it happens. There's some warm air, there's some cold air, and this is in between the warm and cold air. That's where you get your jet stream. And then up here, this is where you get lots and lots of turbulence here, because this will be going like that. And then it'll be going kind of like a little vortex there. And so it might come up here, boom, get all bumpy here at that air level. And then it comes down here. And this is like the most turbulent. Uh, okay, there's your heavy turbulent, and this is your less turbulent, less turbulent there. And yeah, so you kind of want to stay away from there, but it's in clear air, so you can't see that when you're coming up to it. You just got to hope for the best. um which, yeah, but there are some things that you can do to minimize the effects of this turbulence that you're going to get into, or you could, or you might not. Most people don't. It's actually pretty rare, but you see it on the TV and all of a sudden it's in your mind. And it's like, I really hate that everybody makes all this money off of scaring people from flying, when statistically it's like you got way more chance of dying in a car crash on the way to going flying. But it's just one of those things. You don't really do too much flying. You fly a couple times a year, maybe, or once. Or for me, like, I don't know, I fly my little airplanes, like, quite a bit. But big jets, I never take any big vacations because combination of being cheap and poor, depending on what time of how old I was. So it was Qatar Airways and Singapore Airlines. They both had, like, it was pretty bad turbulence there. And so another thing that people like to like scare people about, because scaring makes money in the media. If it bleeds, it leads. What is it? If it burns, it earns. It's just, I don't know, I really don't like that. So that's why I don't make any money out of it. I don't scare anybody here. So yeah, so I did see on a news report oh yeah, what you can do is wear your seatbelt. I got kind of distracted on myself there. Yeah, like if you're just sitting there and you're going on your vacation in Florida for the winter, or wherever you might be flying to, Europe for the summer. Yeah, if you're just sitting there, you might as well just have your seatbelt on. You can loosen it up a little bit. That's cool. But if you have, okay, got to get the KD12X out here. We'll do the Mark II tail dragger version. Yeah, so if you're flying along and, yeah, like, you get this weird turbulence stuff. So what can happen is that you get a big updraft and you're flying along, you're sitting in your chair just like I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden you get bumped up like that. Maybe there's a big updraft and boom, up you go. So at first you'll get pressed into your seat, but what happens if you throw something, right? It kind of keeps going. So yeah, so you get squished in your seat, and then when it stabilizes at a new level, well, you're still traveling up, and you're gonna you might hit your head off the bins overhead or something like that. So, but if you got your seatbelt on still, you might not hit your head. Or if it might be a little bit less, depending on how tall you are and stuff like that. If you're but yeah, so you could get like up like that, or you could just fall. Whoa, like that. All of a sudden, there's a downdraft. The air is doing something different, and the wing loses lift, and down you go. Well, that'll you bump your head off the ceiling there too, and that's where, unfortunately, some of the crew, they went flying all over the place. So ideally, if you're sitting in the plane, it's no big deal. Just keep your seatbelt on, and even if it's loose, you won't even notice it's there. I mean, you wear your seatbelt in the car all the time, usually. I hope. Depends what country you're in. Some places aren't so big on seatbelts, but yeah, most of the time, you just put it on, forget about it, and that's one less thing to worry about when you're flying along. And what else can I tell you there? Oh, and then they were also saying a little bit. Oh, what do we got here? We got Filipino working at CVS. Welcome to the show. Okay. Good point. I'll bring that up later, Filipino. Yeah, so the other thing there too that I really, I don't know. I don't want to come out as like, oh, I'm a conspiracy theorist, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm thinking about this. But I saw different reports where they're starting to say that, oh, we're getting more climate, or it's because of climate change that we're getting all this more turbulence, and there's temperature differences, and there's all this other stuff. But the one thing that I did a really quick look into the people that they were the study that was done that was checking temperatures in the northern Atlantic, and who knows how that works around volcanoes in the southern hemisphere. Like it's the environment is just it's changing so much with like just natural activity, sunspots or volcanoes or whatever, or it could be cyclical temperature changes that happen every 100 years or 1,000 years. I don't know, but I don't think there's too many cavemen driving around in their SUVs, like warming it up and melting all the glaciers that used to cover where my house is. But yeah, so if you do hear anything about, oh, it's climate change is causing uh, causing more turbulence, but you got to remember too that there's no way of detecting this. It's the only way that you can detect the turbulence, clear air turbulence, especially, is if a pilot's flying around and says, "Hey, I just ran into some." So they're saying, "Oh, there's way more turbulence going on." But then if you look at like how many jets are flying around at 30,000 feet in 1970 compared to 2024, there's going to be a lot more jets in the air, and there's going to be a lot more reports of it. So you're going to have increased reports uh, of turbulence. So does that mean that the air is changed, or does it just means that it's getting reported more? And that I couldn't find that in the study that was being quoted, stuff like that. So I don't know, when it comes to studies like and the news, and I had to dig for that too, actually, and had to hit a few websites for that, and still it was kind of an inconclusive study for what the news was reporting. So uh and it also, you can talk to any pilot out there that every single time that there is a report on anything aviation related, the news will get something wrong 100% of the time. Like it might be something little, like, oh, it was a Cessna 172. No, it was a Cessna T210, but like, okay, there was still a crash or something. And it's like, yeah, okay, you got the type of plane wrong. Or they got yeah, that's pretty common. Or it was this type of something. Oh, the plane hit an air pocket. Well, there's no such thing as an air pocket technically. So if you're reporting on air pockets, you're reporting on something that's, it's a small thing, but it's wrong. Pilots pick that stuff up. So the same thing as if you're, I don't know, if you're a car mechanic or something, and they said that or say you're a truck mechanic, and they said that the brakes gave out because the air compressor failed, and then you'd be going, yeah, but they got the spring brakes for the trailer, that should work still, like, something like that. So oh well, that's the news for you. You got to take it with a grain of salt, and you got to remember that like they're really busy. They don't like if you know anybody that's a reporter. I know I've flown with a guy that was, I won't give the guy's name around, but let's just say he's in the media, and he has just noticed over the years that the news department is just getting shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And he gets like these promotions, but it just means that guy retired, and this guy, he's just doing that guy's job now. So there's like, you might see a big building that says a newspaper, and there's only like 20 guys working in there when there used to be like 200. So they don't have time to really research anything. So I don't really fault them too much. You got to pay the bills, do something. But yeah, so I guess bottom line there is if you are going to be in your airplane flying around, just keep your seatbelt on unless you're up stretching your legs for some reason, and then come back. Don't forget to put your seatbelt back on, and always make sure you have your seatbelt on nice and snug for takeoff and landing. That's the most important thing. That's where legally you must have your seatbelt on during the takeoff and landing phases of a flight. You absolutely must. That is the law. But yeah, so once you're up and you're not in the takeoff or landing phase, then yeah, you can stretch your legs, but I don't know, make it quick and then get back to your seat and be nice and safe and enjoy your flight and enjoy your vacation or something like that. So there we go. That's all I know about turbulence for these recent incidents and accidents. And yeah, that's really too bad that happened. But you don't, for all the millions of planes that are flying around, you just hear a couple of those things like once a year. Like there's millions and millions and millions of people. There's millions, there's hundreds of thousands of people up in the air right now as I'm talking. They're doing fine. So statistically, I would say if you want to be the most safe, okay, number one, wear your seatbelt on your way to the airport because that's the most dangerous part of your trip. And then wear your seatbelt in the plane as much as you can. So there we go. That's about it. Hey, I managed to babble a little bit there. And so we'll go through a few comments here. Shecky, good morning to you. Yeah. Okay. So this is what Filipino working at CVS, which is like, that's pretty cool. I like that name. And then he or she says, I don't notice it. Those with huge guts, it might bother them. Yeah, but if you do have a big gut like that, what you could do is request a seatbelt extender. And yeah, those, like, I don't know if they can do like multiple extensions, like, but yeah, I don't know. Why stay away from the Krispy Kremes a little bit before your trip. And okay, there we go. Shecky's also noticed that the news and the newspapers get stuff wrong 100% of the time. Yeah, it's usually something small, but sometimes it's like pretty, I don't know, just like the idea of like, oh, we have so much more turbulence because we got more planes reporting it. But that's my guess. But they don't actually give any numbers of, like, we're getting more. Okay, where are you getting your data from? We're just getting more. It's like, okay, good data, good job. So I hope you enjoyed your grant money for that. So anyways, yeah, that's about it. What is today? Today is Monday. So another week in super pilotish land. So it looks like I'll be back on Wednesday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And we'll just kind of shut her down. Wait a minute. Dustin's popping in here. Hey, good show. Thank you very much, Dustin. Thanks for coming in. And oh, we got other people in here not trusting the news. Who's this? Okay, Lord, I don't trust the news. They get paid to repeat things without research nowadays. Yep, that's their job. Rip and read. There we go. So, and look at this. Everyone comes in here just to chat just as I'm leaving. So, yeah, I'll be back on Wednesday. And just as everyone comes in, hello and goodbye. And yeah, we're shutting her down, guys. You'll have to rewatch it. So thank you for watching. Bye.